Hey, what's up, guys? This is Johnny, and welcome to August. Wow, I can't believe it's August already. But happy July 1st through the 31st. It's been a crazy month of traveling. Technically, I was in 8 countries this past month, and I started in Ukraine, which is the most east of Europe you could possibly be. Then went to Portugal, which is the furthest west of Europe you can possibly be, and then back again for no other reason than to meet up my buddy Sam. Shout out to Sam. We celebrated episode 100 of the Invest Like a Boss podcast. So I figured, hey, I should just fly out there and meet him up. And this is going to be this month's travel, income, and lifestyle report. And to be honest, it's been a stressful month of travel. People think that being a digital nomad, being location independent, being able to work online, having passive income makes your life super easy, but it's not. I just spent the last 2 days trying to get my Chase account unlocked. And Chase is one of the better banks. Like my Bank of America bank, it's been so terrible that I just try not to even log in when I'm abroad. So I understand from their legacy system point of view where they see this guy he's American, his bank account is from California or Texas or whatever, and he's logging in from Ukraine and then from Poland and then from Portugal and then from Italy, then Spain, and then back in Ukraine. Something's wrong. He's transferring money to these, other, people who are in Bulgaria and other places. Something is wrong. Let's freeze their account. And it sucks, And I understand if they want to send me a text message, have me ID something, but it's not that easy. I can't just go on my phone and be like, oh yeah, I sent that, which would be fine. Or even, pop up a FaceTime and say, hey, I want to verify this is your face, this is you. Show me your passport, show me your ID, show me something, right? That'll be fine. I'll be like, here's my stuff. This is me. I verify this is me. That'd be great. They don't do that because they have these legacy systems, and they're like, all right, well, you gotta call in during U.S. business hours, which is the opposite hours here, and then you have to go through these command prompts and press all this crap, and then they're like, well, sorry, please come into the branch with two forms ID. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm in Ukraine. So 2 days of calling, finally they unlocked my account. Here I am, able to record this video, which I've honestly been stressing about all day, just because when I'm not in a mood to work, to be able to even pay, people back or book things for the Nomad Summit, I don't want to be on camera and make videos. So luckily, all that's fixed. Back in a good mood, so I can talk about the travel, the income, and what happened. So here's the report. So I started this month in Ukraine, and I technically went through 8 countries, but it was completely useless because I've been to all 8 of these places before, 7 technical countries, maybe actually 6 actual countries. I'll get to that in a second. So I didn't get to cross anything off my list, but this is again why, I don't really care, to be honest. People always ask how many countries you've been to, and I'm like, I don't know, it's probably around 50, but it would be nice to say I've been to 100 countries, but I don't care because I'd rather really enjoy each country I go to and explore and go back to the ones I like, get to know each city, get to know each different province or place, than just check it off and be like, oh yeah, I've been there. For what? So I can be some Instagram travel blogger. I don't care, right? So all these places I've technically been to before, but this time I got to see another side of it, which has been really nice. So if you've been following my blog or my Instagram at JohnnyFDK, basically I started in Odessa and I took a bus to Transnistria, which isn't actually a country, and it's technically part of Moldova, which I've been to before. But now I got to see a unrecognized state that is still living under the old USSR flag. Really interesting. I wrote a blog post about it. I have a video about it. Check that out after. Then I spent, I guess my birthday, technically in Transnistria. I had some cognac shots at night. The morning, I took a taxi for an hour to Chisinau in Moldova, and then flew to Bologna, Italy, to have pasta for dinner. That was really cool. And I've been to Italy before. So I've been to Rome. I've been to the Leaning Tower of Pisa and Florence and these places. So not a new country for me, but really cool because I've never seen this part of Italy. And guess what? I'm going to go back to Italy again, even though I've been there. It's not checking off a new box, but because I want to see more of Italy and what it has to offer. So this is what I would recommend to anyone who's traveling is don't just do it to say you've been there. Really do it to see it and explore it. Eat the great food. Eat the, amazing fresh pasta that you can only get in Italy. Have ragu sauce, which is spaghetti bolognese basically, but not in the place that it was born. So even bologna, I swear to God, it tastes so good in Bologna, Italy, and it tastes so bad anywhere else. So Oscar Myers, I don't know how you messed up this recipe so much, but in Bologna, it is incredible. It's really tasty. Everywhere I've ever had it, otherwise, it's been the worst thing in the world. So after Italy, I flew from there to Valencia in Spain to meet up my buddy Sam Marks. He was actually in Barcelona, but honestly, I didn't want to go back. I was there for 2 months last year, lived there for pretty much, most of the summer. And I like the city, but I had no reason to go back there. And it's pretty hard to get into. It's a bit expensive. Taxis are a bit of a mess. Housing there is expensive. It just kind of sucks, to be honest. And I heard Valencia was a smaller, cheaper, nicer version of Barcelona, so I really wanted to check it out. It is true, but it's like if Barcelona is this crowded and this expensive and this extreme, Valencia is just a little bit less, but not that much more. When you go to places like Seville or like even Malaga, which is still a touristy place, it is way nicer, way less people. You get much better value for your money. You have a better beach. I don't know why anybody goes to Barcelona. They don't even speak Spanish there. So don't go to Barcelona. Honestly, I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but it is so much better in the south of Spain. Especially if you want to practice Spanish, if you want to eat, true like tapas and not go to these touristy kind of rip-off places. If you want to go to the really nice beaches, they're all in the south. So go to the south of Spain. It's so much nicer. And we got to explore that because we rented a car in Valencia and we drove down the coast. We drove through Cartagena, which turns out nobody goes to because it's a pretty small place, but really cool, really good food, really beautiful there, and way cheaper, way nicer than Valencia or Barcelona, and way less tourists as well. Then we drove down to Malaga. We went through a bunch of other places. Honestly, I can't remember all the names. I think it was Marnabella, all these beautiful places. And then Sam really wanted to go to Gibraltar for a day just because it's part of the UK, even though it's on the tip of Spain. So technically, we had to show our passports and go into Great Britain for an afternoon. Doesn't really count, in my opinion, but it was nice to see. And I've been there before too, on a few years ago. So another place I've been to, and honestly, I kind of regret. I don't regret going, and Sam, I think got mad when I said this. He got a little bit disappointed. I definitely regretted the quickness in which we traveled it, because every day that we drove for, even though it was only 3, maybe 4 hours max, it was like pretty much, the chunk of the day. So we wouldn't have time to do anything. We would hardly have time to go to the beach. We'd have time to really just, go to a nice dinner and then, go out for drinks, and that's it. And in the morning, maybe we had time to go to a beach, but that was about it. So if I was going to do it again, I would have insisted that we either just go to 1 or 2 places and just not do so much driving, or we would have doubled the amount of time. So I would say at the very minimum, even if you're just on vacation, don't go to a place for one night. Go there for at least a few nights, because it's just not worth packing up all your stuff and then getting in a car, trying to find a new Airbnb or a new hotel. It's just not worth it. All right. So after this crazy travels, got to see a lot of cool things, got to meet a lot of cool people. This was actually on my birthday in Bologna, having nice fresh pasta. It was a really nice experience. I really recommend Bologna. I wrote a blog post about it. And I went to the Ferrari Museum, and I guess they're technically their factory, even though the factory is actually for Ferrari owners only. I wrote a ton of tips and tricks about how you can actually go into the Lamborghini factory or the Ducati factory and actually see how it's built. So check out that blog post after this, johnnyft.com. And it was amazing. I really like Ferraris. I think they're such beautiful pieces of art. I really enjoy it. And then I got to meet up Sam and do all this cool stuff. We had 100-year-old olive oil, which was actually really tasty. To be honest, it's a bit too strong, so I don't need my olive oil to be 100 years old. But it was nice tasting the differences between that and just normal or cheap olive oil, especially the stuff you get, in the U.S. or places where it kind of goes rancid when they have to import it. We got to spend some time on the beach, and here is our travel kind of plan. So this kind of weird route, I mean, I wish I could zoom out because it's basically half of that would be, Europe or West Europe, and the other half would be East Europe. And most people would never do both. I somehow did both in 2 weeks, and it was way too much. So you might be wondering, how much did this cost me? I actually broke this down in this month's blog post, and I want you guys to know that my baseline is basically, if I can spend, let's say, the cheapest I'll probably live nowadays, because I kind of enjoy living in slightly nicer places. I enjoy taking Ubers places. I enjoy eating out, and I like having a gym and a co-working space membership. So even when I'm in a cheap place like Thailand, I'll normally spend $1,200 to $1,500 a month. Even though, if you read my book, 12 Weeks in Thailand, I lived off of $600 a month for a long time. And I probably could go back to doing that, but because I'm making so much more money now, I don't need to do that. So I don't think it's outrageous to spend $2,000 a month and while traveling and enjoying life. So that is kind of the break-even point for me. If I'm spending $2,000 a month or less, I can do this forever, and I'm very happy. If I'm spending $2,000 a month or more, then I have to kind of ask myself, is this worth is what I really want, or should I just go back to Thailand or somewhere cheaper? So this is what I spent for this entire month. I had my Airbnb in Odessa, which is actually where I'm staying at right now. I don't know if you guys can kind of see it. So I don't know if it's going to mess it up, but this is my Airbnb. It's 1 bedroom plus a kitchen, but it's in a really nice neighborhood. It's right in the center, like literally right in the center. It's good, but it's not cheap. It's about $25 a night, which is very cheap for a hotel, but times 30 is like $700, so not that cheap. But the bus to Tiraspol in Transnistria was only $5, and it was actually a great adventure. So make sure you watch that video in the other blog post, my Transnistria blog post. It was crazy. I had a hostel in Transnistria, really just because I want to meet people, and I was the only one in that whole hostel. So that's in the other video. And I explained why I stay in hostels when I travel sometimes. And then I took a tour there, also in the video. Really worth the $40. If I didn't spend that $40, I would have actually hated Transnistria. I would have thought it was really boring, but because I had a local show me around, it actually seemed like a really interesting place. Then I took a taxi from Transnistria to Chisinau for $14, and it was pretty good value. And then my flight actually to Bologna was technically only 30 euros or 29.99 euros, but it ended up costing me $117 instead. First, to get that price, you have to join the Wizz Air Club membership for, I think it's $30 a year. And it basically allows you to get the cheaper rates. And I did the math, and I realized on my just 3 flights here, it would pay itself back. So I signed up for it. But then what really got to me and really pissed me off, I was really angry. I was honestly really upset when it happened. I got there, and they wanted me to pay $35 to check in. And the reason why I was upset, well, first, I know that's kind of like a scam that these guys do where, these low-cost carriers do to just get extra money. It really, puts a damper in people's mood. It's really unfair to the check-in staff because it's not they're not getting money for it. They're just dealing with angry customers the whole time. It just really makes the whole experience really bad. So I really don't like that airlines do this. But I understand this is kind of one of their ways to make money, is to kind of, scam people into paying this ridiculous check-in fee. Because once you're there, what else are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. You can't. There's no staff there to talk to anyone because there's no Wizz Air staff. It's just their hired airport staff. You can't call them. They don't care about their reputation. They're just like, whatever. If we can get $35 from you, we will. And the reason I was actually so upset is because I know Ryanair does this. But what they do is they send you an email when, 2 days before the check-in opens. It says, check in online, or you have to pay this fee. And I always check in online. It's not a big deal. Unfortunately, with Wizz Air, I got an email saying, would you like to pay more to upgrade to some, priority thing, which is a complete waste of money. Don't ever do it. It just lets you board the plane earlier, which is useless. And then there was no other email. So I figured, and I looked on their site. I looked at my receipt and didn't say anything about online check-in. It was like one of my first times flying with them. So I just thought, hey, maybe like there's I didn't need to check in early. And I would say the other reason was because I was in Transnistria and I didn't really have internet, and I honestly just wasn't thinking about it. So $35 wasted. Never gonna let them have that again. Lesson learned: if you ever fly with Air or any low cost carrier, really any airline, just check in as soon as you can online. They kind of get you where they have a very short window where you can check in. I think it's like between 48 hours and 24 hours before. So make sure you have that alarm set and just done. All right, so spent that. Ferrari tour Bologna was $70. I think it was 60 euros, which honestly at first I didn't want to pay, but it was worth it just because it's so much easier for them to take you around on a big Ferrari bus than trying to take the local transport. And it would have costed me probably, $50 or so anyways. And from there, I flew from Bologna to Valencia to meet up Sam. $77 on Ryanair. And actually Ryanair, because I know they're a low cost budget airline and they don't try to be fancy, they don't try to look pretty, like AirAsia does or Wizz Air does. They don't try to make it look cool. I'm okay. I'm like, this is no frills. I know what I'm getting. They'll kind of warn me ahead of time. I'm going to charge you this if you don't check in. I'm like, okay, I'll just do it. Not a big deal. And it was actually a great flight. So the way that Sam and I kind of divided up the hotels is he paid for one of the Airbnbs for a couple of nights in Malaga. I paid for a couple of the rooms on other nights. And he actually offered to pay for my flight to come to Spain to hang out with him, because I tried to get him to go to Odessa, but he couldn't. I didn't take him up on that, but I let him pay for the rental car because he was going to do it anyways. And I'm kind of just joining him. So thanks to Sam for treating me out to the rental car, but also to a couple meals and a couple nice things as well. So appreciate that, buddy. And it was all in all, flights, hotels, being on the road, and all that wasn't that much. I mean, not including like food and drinks and going on tours and stuff. It was like $1,100 or something, like a base price. And then with food and everything, it was probably about $2,000. Honestly, I didn't really keep track that much, but I did a kind of quick math. And for being able to travel Europe in peak summer and do all these cool things, eat out, have this amazing adventures, for $2,000, you can just do this. I mean, like, it's how much do you guys spend at home wherever you guys live? Let me know in the comments where you live and how much you spend per month on your, your apartment, and your kind of, your total expenditure. Because when I lived in California, I was spending way more than $2,000 a month just having a normal life. I spent $1,250 on my apartment. I spent like $400 on my car payment. I had insurance. I had, like food was expensive. Gym was expensive. All these things added up to more than $3,000 a month. And I live a way better life now, and I get to travel for less money. So I'm curious what you're spending and why everybody wouldn't just do this, because this life is way more fun than living in any really one place. So the only thing that actually makes my expenditure way high is I've been giving my parents $1,000 a month every month for the last more than 2 years now. So that adds a lot to my budget. But even with that, I'm still spending $3,000 or less, and I'm spending a great life. I made this video in Portugal on one of my favorite beaches I've ever been to. And I've actually been to a lot of beaches, so you can see why I liked this Portugal's beach a lot, way more than Spain. And my income for July, it's been great. So, with all that travel, honestly, I haven't been working that much. I didn't even bring my Roost laptop stand, and I didn't bring my keyboard, and I didn't bring my mouse, and I regretted it because I was hunched over, even though I was only working for a few hours a day. And that's the lesson learned. I would bring my Roost, my keyboard next time. So this is the keyboard. I'm still using this super ghetto mouse that has a retractable USB thing there. And the reason why it's unplugged right now is because I only have 2 USB ports on my MacBook Air, and my webcam is going in one because Apple insists on still using 720p terrible webcams from 2008. I don't know why. Please, Apple, can you please just upgrade the built-in webcam to at least 1080p or something like that's not from an iPhone 3GS. And the other one is the microphone. I love this mic, so that's why it's unplugged. And yeah, I don't love this mouse, but I have it. It works. So I'm going to keep using it and not waste money until it breaks. This is why I have money to invest and make money, because I don't buy things every time I can, even if I can afford it. So that being said, the only work I did was at airport lounges, sometimes at the hotel for an hour or two during breakfast. And then when I was in Lviv and here in Odessa, I would join a co-working space and work there. But it's been one of the best months I've had this year so far, because one of the partnership stores that I helped start almost 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago, back in Chiang Mai, sold for $44,000. Congratulations to Sebastian. It's amazing. I only own 25% of the business because he basically ran the whole thing the entire time. I just helped start it. But 25% of 40 grand is pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that. And we were, big shout out to Anton Kraley, because we are both members of his course. And if it wasn't for Anton's course, neither of us would even know how to build a store. This is now I think it's like my 5th store that I've sold or helped build and sold, which is pretty crazy. There was 2 that sold for 60 grand each. That was 120 grand. This one for 44 grand, and then a bunch of smaller ones. I think in total, it's been about $200,000 in just these dropshipping store sales. And that is why I'm able to invest money, and why I have the Invest Like a Boss podcast, where we talk about how to basically have your money make you money through passive income. And I honestly believe that financial passive income or investment income is the best type of passive income. Everything else takes a little bit of work. Like when you invest in something and you just have your money making you interest or collecting, just growing, you don't do anything. And it's actually probably better to do nothing than to look at it or to think about it, because they've done a bunch of studies and they've realized once you kind of set something and you forget about it, it's way better financially than if you keep like messing with it. It's not like that for most online businesses. Most online businesses, if you don't touch it, it dies. We'll be talking about why. Well, first off, I guess I'm going to have Sebastian on the podcast, Travel Like a Boss, so make sure you're subscribed to that. We're going to talk about why we started the store, how we started the store, kind of the lessons learned in the dropship partnership, and then why we decided to sell the store, and the listing process with Empire Flippers, the broker fees, all that stuff. So it's going to be exciting. So keep an eye out for that podcast, or ear out for the podcast. Make sure to subscribe on your phone to Travel Like a Boss. And if you guys want to learn how to start a dropshipping store, the course works. And I'm telling you, it's been like 5 years I've been recommending Anton's course, antonmethod.com. It was the best investment I ever made for myself. It's the best investment I ever told anyone else to make. And Sebastian's not even American. He's from Germany. So it's really working worldwide now, which is really great. So with all that, the money I made from the store, I made my cut of it after all the fees, broker fees, all that stuff, was $9,000 something. I have to take a look. I'll write about it in the next post, but I think it was like $9,300 or something dollars. And then my total income, when you add in all the passive income, was $13,843.36, which is amazing because I was in 8 countries this month and I hardly worked. And to be able to make 13 grand. That's as much as someone working full time at Burger King 40 hours a week for a year makes. So I'm really happy to be able to do this, and I really love it. Being an online entrepreneur, being a digital nomad, working online really is amazing. So I'm gonna wrap this up, but this is a few screenshots of my dashboards, everything I made money from. Check out the blog for more info, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So stay subscribed, leave a comment, ask some questions, and I'll see you next month. Bye, guys.